Everyone, please be seated. Moving right along, item 1.4 is the approval of the agenda. Superintendent Jolly, do we have any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda.
Okay, hearing no changes, can I please have someone make please have an approval of item 1.4?
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve 1.4, approval of agenda.
You have a second?
A second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second. Any questions or comment about any of the items on the agenda? Hearing none, Mr. Gamble, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Mewman,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes, please.
and Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed 5-0. Item 1.5 is the approval of the minutes, and we are looking for an approval of the minutes from the meeting on January 28th. Can I please have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve 1.5, approval of minutes from the following meetings, January 28th, 2016, regular meeting.
I second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved in second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Mr. Gamble, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Mewman,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
and Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed 5-0. We now come to item 1.6, which is public participation. Any citizen that's wishing to address the board may do so through public participation. Mr. Gamble, do we have any cards?
Yes, we do. Andrea Mitchell.
Hey, Ms. Mitchell, if you would please come down to the microphone. State your name, address, and phone number.
My name is Andrea Mitchell, 4127 East William.
Thank you. You will have 3 minutes. So go right ahead. We thank you for, Well, preferably if you can, or speak loudly because we are recording.
Okay, no problem. The only thing I want to say is, this is something I've been thinking about since I returned to Cleveland several years ago now. When I left Warrensville in 1987, the one thing that I did know, I knew British literature very well. I can go toe-to-toe with people who look like me and people that didn't look like me. I knew Grendel and Beowulf. I can tell you about Shakespeare and Puck and what play goes with what and everything. The one thing that I didn't know is I didn't know The Souls of Black Folk by W.P. Du Bois. I didn't know the autobiography of Malcolm X because it wasn't required. I'm looking around, even in 87, the people looked like me. There were some that didn't, even just like now. And people that didn't look like me when I went to college knew this. In an environment where this is part of who we are, I would hope that this could be something that is part of the curriculum moving forward. Because we need to know as much about ourselves and people who look like us as we know about people who don't. I knew more about people who I probably never would know than people who look just like me. And to this day, I still remember my Beowulf from Judy Biskin. But I also remember something that a 3rd grade teacher taught me, Linda Freed. They say she was Jewish. I don't know. I thought she was an amazing teacher. That's what it was. And that was the Afro-Bets. Every day when we walked into that classroom, the banner on the top of her classroom had an African-American figure from A through Z. And I learned about Crispus Attucks and Benjamin Banneker, and I learned about Matthew Henson, and to this day I still understand that. And I think all children, our children and all children need to know about these figures as well. This cultural curriculum should be as important as anything else that we're tested on, because our kids will go toe-to-toe with people who know more about people who look like us than people who don't. That's all. Thank you.
All right. Do you want to say anything? No? Thank you very much for your comments. We appreciate it. Do you have any other cards?
One more card.
Okay. Jonathan, not at the time. Okay.
Dorothy Blackman, 19213 Woodville Avenue.
and disappointed to find out today that we had someone who says they're an alumni put on Facebook a recall petition for one of our board members. First of all, you cannot put a petition into play for anyone to sign if you do not live, vote, or pay taxes in that municipality. So, and you know, it's very disturbing that you would want to destroy somebody's reputation by doing something so stupid. And I hope that you board members will work together and try and do what we need to do, and that's move this district forward.
And I think we agree with you on that. That is our goal, so we appreciate your comments. Thank you very much. Do we have any other cards?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right, 1.7 is the superintendent's updates. I know we've had a busy couple of weeks since we last met, so Mr. Jolly, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon or evening. I'm going to try something new with the superintendent report. I would like to do a PowerPoint just to highlight some of the things that's going on. We have some videos to see. We have a lot of great things going on in our district, and we just want the world to see the things that's going on. First item is the Project Flint on February 12th. 7 scholars, myself, Councilman Mitchell, and teacher Robert Wall went to Flint, Michigan to deliver 281 bottles of water. We have a video of our experience in Flint, and then we also have a student that will come speak about her experience.
So while Mr. Jolly is getting the video together, I just wanted to let everyone know, as you know, we started recording our board meetings, the last meeting, and when I checked a couple of days ago, we were over 300 views. So we're reaching more people, getting more people involved. Of course, we would love to see you here, but if you can't come here, we encourage you to watch the meetings online. No? You want to, is that it? Is that?
No, it's a minute long. It's supposed to be.
Okay. Is all of that the water that we
This is the
we
water.
delivered?
And there was some more water that broke loose on our trip, and we had to put it in a separate place. But this time I'll have Ms. Torrance and Ms. Mitchell, if they could come up, student and Councilman Mitchell, they want to share some thoughts about the trip too.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Saida Terrence. I'm a junior here at Warrensville Heights High School. And I was on the trip, I don't know if you saw me in the picture, but I was on the trip to Flint to deliver all the water we collected. And when we first got there, it was really moving just to see the environment, how similar it was to ours. And a lot of the students, well, the students that were in the group during the trip when we were riding through the city to our destination, the one thing I kept hearing was, this looks just like Cleveland. It looks so much like Cleveland. And that's what really got to me, is how easy this could happen, how simple it is for something like this to happen to a group of people so much like ourselves. So when we delivered the water, the people that we met at the church were so surprised that a group of students were able to band together and make a change for the greater good of a city so much like us. And it really meant a lot to me. I know it meant a lot to them because they kept saying how much they appreciate us, but I think we appreciated them so much more because of what they taught us. And we learned so much about the situation, how long it has been going on. Years prior, they were urged not to speak on it. And some of the people we met there said that at the schools they had 18 pallets of water cases stacked high, and within 4 hours they would be gone. And while we were bringing water, there was a man that pulled up and he was taking some. And it reminded me that there is a need. You can't tell him to stop taking water. It's a basic human right. And the woman, she was a bishop. Her name slips my mind now, but she kept reminding us that it takes 50 gallons a day just for the average human. Whether it be washing your hands, cooking, cleaning, whatever it is, you need water for more than just drinking. So that really got to me. It made me think about how much I waste water. It makes me think about how much I ask for juice or other things where I should be drinking water, this natural resource that's just, it seems like it should be abundant, but obviously it's not if it's poisoned so easily. And some of the other students there appreciated the help that we received from the bishop that came and her children. So it really did move us. It meant a lot to us. And this was a learning experience on a day where we didn't even have school. And I think that if we kept a relationship with this church, considering the circumstances, it's not going to clear up overnight. And every time we hear that, oh, the people are thankful they have enough water, it's never going to be enough. I think it would be a lot if we could keep this relationship moving forward with our, with Flint, whether it be the students or regular or everyday residents that need our help, because this could so easily happen to us. So if it can happen to us in a matter of minutes, who knows what they're going through, even when it's not shared with the media. Thank you.
The second item I want to discuss is the district pep rally. We had a whole-wide district pep rally on Friday where we had grades 3 through 11 in our gym. Z109 came, and the theme of the pep rally was pump it up for the OST. So we wanted the students to be excited about the upcoming tests. We wanted them to understand their value and that they represent themselves, but they also represent the community. In some of the pictures you see, Eastwood, our band performed, our high steppers performed. The mayor also spoke to the children. It was a great event. The students really were energized and felt good about learning. And as we move forward in our return to excellence, it's important that our students understand the value of doing well on these tests. The tests are just one snapshot, but that one snapshot is what people judge the district on. So our thoughts behind that was to inspire the students to understand the value of doing your best. And with all our tutoring and things that we're doing to prepare them, we hope that pep rally was an inspiration to all. It's the first time we had most of the district. We didn't invite John Dewey because they don't test on the OST. And really, we don't have a room for John Dewey. That's another 450 students. But the whole gym was packed full of students. All the teachers, I would like to thank the teachers, the committee. Ms. Correll was part of the committee, Ms. Cohen, Ms. Bussey at the high school. And we also have incentives for students. So students who come to school every day get dress down days on Fridays. And then we also have donations from Omnova, and also the city donated some prizes for our students who come to school. So great event for all. The next thing I would like to discuss is the middle school was the cool school this morning. It was on Channel 8. We want to show the video. The young people were actually the coffee break too. They were on part of the coffee break. They brought gifts to the host. It was an outstanding representation of our district.
Excuse me, I'd like to say something. Those who don't know, this is the second time that the middle school has won. In 2009, Mr. Harris was nominated, that spearheaded, someone nominated him as one of the coolest teachers at the middle school. And from there, it spiraled. So in 2009 was the first time them was winning. That was when Mrs. Crumglen was principal.
Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you. I think it's the laptop, yeah. You might want to just wait. 'Cause maybe what we'll do is just offer, I mean, the link is on the website if for some reason he can't get it. We're going to persevere. We'll give it just a few more tries. While we're waiting, I see we have a couple of Warrensville City Council members here. We have Mr. Matt Howard is here, as well as President Doris Hagwood. Thank you. There you go. Yeah, you definitely, I'm sorry, it's Walter Stewart, correct. Andrea Mitchell is here as well. I just figure she's, and we have Michael Booker here also from Highland Hills. Thank you guys for coming out, and again, we appreciate everybody's support. All right, so we can't get it to work, but there is a link on our website. We encourage you to take a look at it. It was definitely an exciting time for our students, for the district. We were once again highlighted in a exceptional light. So
it's a great. It's a great. If you get a chance, look at it. Type in Fox 8 Cool Schools. Great video. Next thing I'd like to announce is that the high school cheerleaders made it to the national competition. Which will be held on April 10th in Erie, Pennsylvania. All expenses paid moving forward. Also today, the state released report cards, and I just want to give a brief summary of of what our report card said. At our March meeting, I'll go in more detail about it, but I just wanted to show a couple slides about the report card and what indications it says about the work we're doing here. The first one, so there's about 20 measures that school districts get measured on. Today they released the remainder of the report card. The report cards, all districts have a 3-year safe harbor, so the report cards really are not counting against the district, but they're still reporting the data from what happened in 2014-15. The first line is the performance index. The performance index is how the kids score. That is all the kids who take the test and what they score on the test. The second one is overall value added. That's very important to Warrensville because that is showing that Warrensville takes students from where they are and they grow them either a year or exceeds a year's growth. The second one is the gifted value added. That is for our gifted students. And you'll see we don't have any measure for gifted because we weren't testing them, they weren't identified as gifted. But this year we hired a gifted teacher, so we hope to move that. The next measure is lowest 20%. So this is the lowest 20% of the students in the district, and the measure from that. And then the third one is K-3 literacy, which is our kindergartens to third grade and how they're doing. I do want to mention that we have we did contest our K-3 literacy scores because there were some issues with data, and we do have a contest for those scores. So as you can see, Warrensville has moved up. If you look at value added, and I want to put value added here, Warrensville earned and I'll highlight it, earned a grade of A for value added.
All right.
Warrensville earned an A for the lowest 20%. And they also earned an A for the students with disabilities, so our special needs students.
All right.
The K-3 literacy is an F, but we filed a formal protest against the grade because we believe that the data was inputted wrong. So we have filed an appeal, and hopefully that changes. The next item I would like to show you is our comparison with the charter schools that's in our community in the same areas. So as you can see in the performance index, we have these, and there's in the March meeting I'll be able to explain it in detail how you come up with the performance index grade. But the overall value added grade, you can see that Warrensville outperformed all four with an A grade. Again, with the lowest 20%, Warrensville outperformed all four schools, and also the students with disabilities. Haley School did receive an A, but the other ones, they didn't have enough students to form a cohort. And then the K-3 literacy, again. So this work is indicative that the district is moving forward, that our teachers are working hard to move students to the next level. And I want to explain this report card thing because all over the state, and if you look at Shaker, I can show you Shaker's report card. If you look at Shaker, a lot of people is grappling with these report cards. Shaker got a C, and they have an F in value added. But it's the measures. It's how things are being measured. And it's no fault of Shakers. It's just the way the game is being played. So it's important that we understand how the game is being played and prepare our students for the best. But I did want to share with the community tonight with the data that just came out tomorrow. We'll send a letter home tomorrow with our students and parents so that when they look at the news and they say F or D, that is more to a report card than just the performance index. School districts should be measured in multiple ways. Shaker and Twinsburg Consulting produce a document called Multiple Measures, where they measure AP to participation, they measure students in extracurricular activities, they measure a wealth of things, not just the report card. And if you ever notice and pay attention to the report cards, only districts that are majority African American or poor receive the lowest grades. And that's across the district, and we can pull the report card. That's what it is. So we have to tell our story different. We have to share our successes. And our success is that when students come to Warrensville, they are moving a grade level or higher. That's the success. And that's what we need to, that I will continue to share with the community. So the next meeting, I will have a more detailed, but this just came out today, and it took all day to try to get it together so you can see it. It is released on the state website. You can see it, verify my information. It's all there. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Superintendent Jolly. Do any of the board members have any comments or any questions about the superintendent's report? No? Okay. I want to say congratulations to you, to the staff, to the students on a great report card. Is this from last year?
Yes, and I would like to give credit to the people who did it, and that was Dr. Zodisi and his team, who were here, and this is their data. So all credit goes to Dr. Zodisi and the team last year.
All right. Thank you again. All right, so we're going to move right along. 1.8 is the student ambassadors. We have Ms. Torrance and Ms. Parham. They're going to let us know what's going on with Warrensville Heights High School. I'll let you go first and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself. You have the floor. She needs a microphone.
Take mine.
Nope, she's gonna have to scoot over a little closer.
Okay. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Good afternoon or good evening, everybody. I am Alicia Parham. I am a senior here at Warrensville Heights High School. I do the superintendent, student advisory council, student council. I play softball. I manage the wrestling team and a lot of other things. Basically, as y'all heard already, we had the hashtag Project Flint. And I want to talk about my experience because my experience is different. I do agree with what Saida said. It was mind-blowing. Because I'm 18 now and I'm about to go into the real world in like 4 months or 5 months, it was different to see that, even though the little things we take for granted, like when you drink water but you don't drink all of it, so you just throw it away, you pour it out, or it's mind-blowing to see how wasteful you are when you're not in a crisis. It was fairly good in my opinion. It wasn't that long there and it wasn't that long back. It opened my eyes to see that, I should step outside my community more and see what's actually going on in the real world. And anything else? Our first softball game is March 26th against Shaw.
That's right, throw a plug in.
So, yeah, that's it for me.
You said you managed the wrestling team as well?
Yes, I managed the wrestling team for 6 years. Pierre Savage and Anthony Scurry will be going to districts this Saturday.
Right.
They'll be at Garfield Heights. And if they make it out of districts, they will be attending states the next Saturday. So.
Very good. All right, I know both of
I
them.
do want to add that Anthony Scurry's record is 41-0.
He's 41-0.
Undefeated.
Wow. Is Anthony a senior this year?
Anthony is a junior.
Is he a junior? But
Pierre is a senior.
He's a senior. That's right. Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you very much.
Besides the Flint water, I don't want to call it crisis, our project, besides reporting on that, last week, a group of seniors and a handful of juniors and some staff, we went to see a premiere of Race. at Shaker Cinemas, and it was really different to see it portrayed in that way. To see it, I guess, as a film, something that people want to see. A lot of students do know the story of Jesse Owens, but they don't know that he came from Cleveland and he went to East Tech. So to know that it was so close to home, it struck a different chord in some people. It said, oh wow, someone from where I'm from was able to do something so magnificent and so huge, especially during the time, during the Hitler regime, when he went to the Olympics. It made a huge statement. It said that I'm coming here to show you what we can do, and by we I mean my black people. But just, I don't know how to explain it. It's beyond words, and the students, they seem really, I guess, mystified? Not mystified, but just mind blown at what was accomplished. And then also before the premiere, there were Josh Cribbs and who was his name?
Derek something, I don't remember his last name.
There is a guy who owned a Black Box restaurant, Black Box.
And then the football player.
Yeah,
Josh Cribbs, it was the
Yeah.
football
There
player.
was 2 football players.
Okay.
One is in real estate. No,
There we go.
that's real estate. But
Sanders.
yeah, they came and spoke to the students before the film played, and they took a giant selfie with us, and it was really cool. And they're also kids from Richmond, so it was a nice bonding experience with kids from other schools and teachers. We could gather together and see this great film. I enjoyed it. I think other students enjoyed it.
All right. So this is important. This is good for us to hear what the students are doing. And I think the takeaway with Flint and even with the movie that they saw is just the simple fact that no matter how hard you think your life is, there's always someone out there that's the have. And I think those are lessons that our kids need to learn day in and day out. So, and they get a greater appreciation for life in general. So I'm glad you guys were able to experience that, and I want to encourage Mr. Jolly and his administrators, the teachers, to keep encouraging the students to look for ways to reach out to the community and surrounding communities. So thank you, girls, for coming out. And I know we have a couple of other students. Well, we have one other student here. I like to acknowledge the students. Stand up, because we're here for you. This is all about you. All right. Thank you guys for coming out. All right, 1.9 is going to be a presentation from the high school. So I would ask, is it Mrs. McDowell who's doing the presentation? Okay. Good evening. Okay, we're mid-year, of course, so my slide, PowerPoint is a little longer. Before, when I was in front of you all, it was only 6 slides, and now it's 19. So I do have an update to share with you all what's happening at the high school. And so what I am sharing will be a reflection of the 3 goals that we have here at Warrensville City School District. We know the city school district goals are to increase the literacy for our on-track scholars by 7%, increase scholars attendance by 3%. I put 93% for high school, but I think Mr. Jolly set a goal for the district for 95. And then improve the school climate as measured by the decrease of in-school and out-of-school suspension by 10%. And so everything that I show you will relate to the district goal. And this is our high school focus. If you come into our main office, you'll see a banner with this information: data-driven decision-making, rigorous instruction, character education, and social emotional learning. Our attendance last year, it was 86%. So far, we're at 89%. We're really pushing for 90. I don't think we're going to be able to make 93, because when we play with the numbers, we would almost have to pull 100% for the month of March, April, and May. So we have a committee that's working really hard to come up with something next week. So when March 1st starts, we have some incentives that our high school scholars are willing to work for our attendance up. Currently, they already come dressed down on Fridays if they came to school Monday through Thursday, but still, that's not enough to get our numbers up. But we're still, showing improvement from last year. In and out of school suspension, last year, 533 suspensions. So far this school year, we've only had 115. And so the breakdown, it's kind of hard to see, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th through 12th. But already we know we've made an improvement, probably with our character education, our social emotional learning piece. We try to teach the whole child, and so even when they come to the office with offenses, we try to talk through certain situations with them, even if they have to give a consequence afterwards. We just make sure that they have a voice and that they're able to express themselves. And so really proud of these numbers, because that's a big difference between 533 suspensions in and out and 115. The year's not over yet, but I can't imagine anything happening that drastic where we would add 300 to 400 suspensions. Our fall OGT data is broken down by all 5 subjects: writing, reading, math, and social studies. The numbers in green are our scholars with IEPs, and so we definitely still have a lot of work to do as far as the OGT is concerned. So I'll have you all look at this for a few seconds. But didn't graph this data. And if you look at the 5th column, the 6th column, that's the proficiency column, and then you have accelerated and advanced. And then the last column shows our percentage of those that are proficient or higher. And so that will show, indicate how much work we have to do as far as the OGT. The OGT is coming up March 14th. NWEA 8th grade data, reading and math. You see the fall is in the darker blue. The winter scores, which we just got back, is in the lighter blue. So we went up in reading 6%, but we went down in math 4%. STAR assessment, fall to winter, student growth percentile. And these scores, these percentages actually show, which we should be celebrating. For instance, reading, the first column for 9th grade, 59% of 9th graders actually show growth from when they took the STAR assessment in fall into winter. So that's really great. All of these numbers really are above 50%, and so that's awesome. Interventions that we have in place currently. We started sustained silent reading, I want to say in December, did we start that in December, where we actually picked a period throughout the week, and we just have sustained silent reading for 15 minutes. The secretary will announce we will start our sustained silent reading, and our hope is that everyone grab a book, so even the administrators, all 4 of us, will go to classrooms and grab some material, and we will just sit in the classroom and we all will read for 15 minutes. And so that varies throughout, every day. Then we have Power Wednesday. During our building leadership team, one of the questions I had for the team as I researched the data, I saw in 2009, 2010, Warrensville High School data was outstanding. And so I asked them what was happening during that time, and one of the things that the teachers were saying was Power Wednesday. And so since I knew that was the best practice, I said, oh my goodness, let's bring it back. And so we started Power Wednesday last Wednesday. And so it's a day where the whole day we shut down and we actually have teachers do, like for instance, English and math, they do all short answer and extended response questions. Science, do vocabulary, social studies skills. Social studies, they do test taking skills, and then fine arts, they also do vocabulary. And so we provide the material for them, so it's not extra work for the teachers. They actually turn in the folders, give it back to us at the end of the day, and we also have a feedback sheet for them as well. We have extended day. That's been, I think this is the 3rd week for extended day, and our OGT preparation, and that's Monday through Thursday after school from 3 to 4:30. Our participation is very low. We sent mailers out. We did an IVR. We have sheets of paper, posters all over the building. And so now it's to the point where we're actually calling people in individually to have conversations to get them to participate in our extended day so they can pass the OGT and other assessments. The OGT Blitz, that starts on Monday because the OGT is coming up on March 14th. And that's another day where we take 2 weeks and pretty much alter the schedule of those that need to take the OGT. And so they will also participate in various preparations for the OGT. And I think we have about 8 teachers that are participating with that. And they will call for subs while they assist these scholars on the clock to get ready for the OGT. And then we have ongoing data meetings. I was challenged in, I think, our last staff meeting to have individual data meetings, and that's yay for me. So I was able to pull the STAR data, and next week plan to meet with individual teams, English, math, social studies, and science, and share what the state STAR data looks like, so every individual teacher will know the part that they played in the success of our scholars. And this is an example of Power Wednesdays, what it looks like. I forgot the intervention teachers, they use study island. This calendar actually pull those skills, read it for study island. Again, math and English through writing prompt, short answer, extended response, learning how to respond to text, science, vocabulary, and social studies test-taking skills. And then this is an example of our OGT Blitz, but we had to change the schedule because what we left out was the planning time for teachers. So this is just how, when we first started out, this is just a draft. There's actually another schedule. And then character, education, and social emotional learning, zest, grit, self-control, hope, optimism, social intelligence, gratitude, love, humor, and curiosity are things that Mr. Rudolph cover in our morning meetings. And also during our morning announcements, Alicia also shared the definitions of these words and trying to get them to use them in their everyday life, especially social intelligence. And I think we took a long time with love as well, and self-control. Character education and social emotional learning. I made some copies because this is the last several slides I have. I made like 25 copies so you guys can share. But these are all the current programs. The current programs that we have here at Warrensville. We have the ACE mentoring program. We have the Arrows mentoring program, Beechwood Medical Academy, Career Prep Consortium, Crown Kings mentoring program, Day in the Life of a Buckeye, 8th grade workshop seminars, FAFSA for our high school seniors, Future Connections, Impact, the 2 CT preparation, OUH-COM, Immersion and Pipeline Program, Project Love, which is every Wednesdays, and Ms. Martin is working with our 9th grade girls. She also donated a $1,000 scholarship in her son's name. Student of Promise, and lately, the last one is Up with the People, and that's up and coming. Also, I just received an email from Chick-fil-A for Leadership Academy. I have a meeting with them on Monday. And so, as you see, there's a lot of programs that we're bringing back to the high school, and this is just really a start. There are a lot of meetings that are in the making in these next several weeks, where we will bring more opportunities for our scholars to be exposed to the community and have the opportunity to see what it's like to work. As a matter of fact, we had a meeting today with a group from the mayor's office about another program. And then, so I put Chick-fil-A leadership and what I knew about that by looking that up. Also, locally, we have the Superintendent Student Advisory Council, and I wanted to copy that. And so we're going to have a principal student leadership team, and then we have the Warrensville High School Student Council, and then I also put the Chick-fil-A leadership team and more to follow, academic teams. I have scholars that are making appointments through Ms. Griffin to sit with me to start a lot of academic programs like, what's his name, Chandre wants a writing club, which is outstanding. I can remember being part of a science club in high school, a math club, and so technology club. So we definitely want to bring all of those back, and so that's what I mean by academic teams. And that's it. Any questions? All right, board members, do any of you have any questions about, from the presentation?
I actually do.
Okay.
Mrs. McDowell, the math scores for the winter, the dropping of 4 points, is there a program or plans that you have to get the score back up?
Yes, with our Power Wednesdays and our
Okay.
extended day, and some PDs for our teachers. There's actually a new teacher here, and just looking at the teaching strategies and rigorous instruction and maximizing instruction time. So all that plays a part.
Now, my second question is the OGTs. We all understand how important they are. So, and with the low attendance, how are you reaching out to the parents? What the challenge is to get the kids here?
We sent flyers out, but I'm finding out that IVRs are not reaching people, so there's a glitch in our system. And I think it has a lot to do with updating telephone numbers and addresses and all of that. And I think when Mr. Rudolph does the IVR, more people get it, so I don't know whether his contacts are different from when Corey does it, so it's a lot of glitches. But we're to the point where Ms. Farmer and her crew, thank you, they actually go in the main office and make phone calls to all of the parents, even if it's more than 100 parents. We're getting that desperate. You know, if I wasn't so busy, I'm into home visits too, but it would, you know, it would take a team to do that, because it's just that important.
Right.
Mhm. You're welcome.
Can I ask, would you clarify what an IVR is?
IVR is, what is that, electronic telephone message? And I guess it's based on the information that we have in our system. And so Mr. Rudolph would use it, I guess, with the email and send a message, so he would type it. And then it will call all the telephone numbers that are in the system, and then we get the message. But it's not very effective.
So it's our robocalls. It's the
Call.
robocalls, and then we get emails, because I've kind of figured out the correlation between the two. I'll get the phone call, I'll get the email first, and then I get the telephone call. Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
And what Ms. McDowell is saying about our database is not up to date. We acknowledge that, and we're working our best to try to fix it, but it is not up to date at all. So that's why we try to use various different sources to get information out, but that is a task to get the database up to date. It's not up to date at all.
I have a question for you, Mrs. McDowell. I know when we looked in, I think October, we targeted some of our scholars that needed intervention or needed some help, and we're still tracking those students, right?
Yes.
The only other question, are you tracking attendance by grades, or how are we doing attendance?
And
Yeah.
I think our juniors, quite honestly, are the ones that are coming to school on a regular basis, but unfortunately, our juniors are the ones with the lowest scores in the school too. So we had a data meeting with them last week to explain that to them, hey, you guys are coming top players, and you're involved in everything, but the scores don't match them coming to school. So just constantly having those conversations and trying to, push out.
But we are giving those scholars the help they need, like when we're tracking? Okay, all right. Thank you.
I just have one quick question. You were saying earlier, and I think it's when you were discussing OGT, you said that you're reaching out to people. Who are the people that you're referring to? Are you reaching out to the students, or are you reaching out to the parents? This was around the same time. I've got it close to where you were talking about the IVR.
And I guess reaching out there, okay, so the IVR, we actually stuffed how many envelopes? 193, Ms. Farmer? And sent those by mail, making phone calls, so that's what I mean by reaching out to the parents.
Okay.
And still our participation is
All right, so, and I guess that's what I was looking to hear, is that we are actually reaching out to the parents, not just the students.
Because we knew they were, yeah, we gave it to them anyway, but.
Yeah.
Reached out to the parents.
Okay, all right, great. I think it's important, and as a parent, I want to hear from the school. I don't want to reach in my son's book bag and find something crammed at the bottom of it, because that's where it typically is.
Yeah, so we try to cover all bases, so we did give it to the scholars, but we reached out to the parents.
Okay, all right. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments? Could you speak into the microphone, please? Thank you.
How many students has to take the OGT?
96.
96? And they have to pass all 4 parts or 5 parts?
Yes,
So we talking about 10th graders or?
we're talking 10 through
10 through 12, okay. How many seniors need to pass all of the OGT?
Oh,
Okay, so for instance, for the writing, we had 37 scholars that needed to take the test, 18 were scholars with IEPs, and when you look at the numbers that passed, no one passed for 10th grade. So we still have the same amount of scholars that need to take the, so I would have to add all those numbers up. Reading,
I'd like to clarify something, though. So 10th graders who took the test, these are repeater 10th graders. The majority of our 10th graders are on the other test system. They're on the Ohio, where they have to earn points. So these are repeater 10th graders who were in 10th grade prior to last year. Another clarification is that some of our special needs students who were testing are exempt from the consequences of the test. So we are testing them as part of their IEP requirement, but the goal is for all of them to pass. But eventually, a lot of those students end up being exempted, and they end up graduating too. So there's two different numbers in here. When you see the seniors, some of the seniors will be exempted based on their IEP, and then the other ones will have to pass it. The majority of our seniors have passed writing, they've passed reading. The areas of concern is social studies, science, and math. Those are the areas. So there's two different graduation systems in play at the high school now. Our 8th, 9th, and 10th graders are on the new graduation system where they have to earn 18 points. Our 11th and 12th graders are under the old graduation system where they have to pass 5 parts of the OGT. So those are the conflicting requirements that's at the high school at this time.
and also the 11th and 12th graders that are on here are the 11th and 12th graders that probably didn't pass when they were in the 10th grade.
Right.
So I might be putting you on the spot here. So because come June, we would like to see 100% of our seniors graduating.
Correct.
How many students, 12th graders, still need to pass the OGT? And, well, I guess that's the real question, is how many would still need to pass the OGT? I'm trying to follow. Is that information I should see up there?
No, that's another form.
Okay.
But we have 60 of our seniors on track for graduation.
Okay.
And 40 are not, but that's a combination of OGT and classwork.
Classwork, okay.
And IEPs is in that group too.
Okay, so 40 students, and the high school is doing everything that they can to reach out to parents, students, every intervention, because again, the eye on the prize for us is to make sure that we've got 100% of our students walking across that stage. So I'm going to keep saying that. So thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments? Thank you very much. We appreciate it. All right. So this is a regular. Oh, I apologize. Yes, we do. Student of the month. She sat down and threw me off. Are you guys are? Yeah, we're going right into it.
Mr. Rudolph is going to present that student, and I want you to explain how we select. So we just don't select a student of the month to come here to the board meeting. We actually select student of the month, where Ms. Swift actually facilitates our student of the month and our awards assembly. And so the teacher submitted to Ms. Swift, she gives us the information, and then every month we celebrate our scholars that way. And so in that 20, we look at GPA, we look at attendance, and then decide who we're going to select for for the board meeting. And we do the same with our spotlighting our staff. We've been spotlighting staff since August. A person from OXI and our NWEA staff as well. And so we have those people here. And Ms. Everhart and Ms. Townsend will present those too.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I will be brief. It is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Denise Simone Lattimore, 12th grade scholar here at Warrensville High School.
All right.
ecstatic when she received the phone call that Mia would be getting recognized. Mia is a 3-year band participant. In all 3 years, she's been captain on the band. I asked Mr. Keaton. Mr. Keaton probably knows her better than anybody in the building. As everybody knows, he spends a ton of time with the band member. Just a few words that he would describe her. He wanted to let everybody know that she handles her responsibility very well. She's a great role model for her peers. Here at the high school, we can all such. Her marching and she Natalie looks forward to seeing her in her college band uniform next year. And as we talk about praise and things that we want to definitely promote, thus far, Mia has been accepted into 5 colleges in 2021.
All right. Congratulations.
I'm sorry, 6 now. Miles College in Alabama, Tennessee State, Kentucky State, Wittenberg, and Ursuline. And actually, through this point, I believe Mia has the highest scholarship offer as far as academically. I believe it was a $56,000 4-year scholarship. With that being said, we're obviously extremely happy for Mia and what's in store for her, what's to come. But we'll also be very sad and disappointed to see such a bright scholar leave us because, once again, she is a role model for her peers and for the younger students. But we know that there will be other students that come up and fill her shoes. And we just want to make sure that you know that you left great footprints for the next person. Give it up for me.
Very nice. Mia, would you like to say anything?
I've been in Warrensville since I was 2nd grade.
Wow.
I really enjoyed my experience in Warrensville. I'm glad to say when I leave. It's such a family here.
Yeah, well, we're expecting great things, and we're very proud of you. Congratulations.
Good evening. My name is Mrs. Townsend, and I'm the CIS here at the high school. Having a positive attitude towards her work responsibilities, her co-workers, and our scholars, she serves as a role model for others, including myself. You could always expect a positive word in a small time interaction with Ms. Bussey. She has a genuine commitment to quality and carrying out her job responsibilities, and is a definite asset to the Warrensville Heights High School. Mrs. Bussey has a willingness to exercise servant leadership. She takes initiative and accepts, carries out additional responsibilities beyond the gymnasium for the good of the scholars and the campus community as a whole. Mrs. Bussey is someone I personally know I can always count on. In all my 15 years of being an educator, I've never seen a physical education teacher who displays her scholars' work, not just in addition to having a standard in the rubric, and that's amazing. And they are. When we say that we are returning back to excellence, we are on the right track with Ms. Bussey. Tonight, the staff at Warrensville Heights High School would like to spotlight our physical education teacher, Ms. Bussey, as superintendent.
Thank you very much. Those of you that don't know me, this is my 26th year of teaching. Last year, in 25 years, I was ripped from a district that I started my teaching career with. We were $3.1 million in the hole. I did not have a master's degree, and 24 teachers that had 20 years or more experience were ripped. And I can tell you that being scared to death, I do have a senior in college. We put 2 kids through. I work 2 jobs. My wonderful husband surprised me with me today. We've been together 40 years now.
Yay!
When you saw it this I remember coming into the Warrensville gym, and at the time I thought, gosh, who's going to get an old lady, a job here after all of the time that I spent. And I remember walking in, and the one thing that I am so proud of in this community is certainly the family. I have not had one parent. I make a lot of good news calls home. The support from our community has been absolutely phenomenal. I appreciate the people that are sitting in this room, not only the educators, but our administrative team. We have a new team at the high school, And I have been through plenty of administrators in my 26 years of teaching, and I can tell you the Board of Education made a good choice. We are seeing positive changes. One thing that I wanted to spotlight also, teachers are expected to call home when students are absent from our class. That is something our admin team did, and today I called 32 parents. So that is done during our lunch periods. Teachers are doing everything possible to get kids here to school. We know when they're here and they're engaged, they are learning. I appreciate, again, the support of our team, of the Board of Education. My son will be graduating this spring, and I've talked to Ms. McDowell about bringing some character education, some clubs to our school community service clubs, those kind of things, and also bridging our career and college experience. Getting kids to college, they'll hear that all the time. Lastly, I think our fine arts team, and that's something that I was in charge of in our district, we have the Common Core 4 subject areas. Tomorrow, my students will take a math test involving conversions of kilograms to pounds. We are in the fitness and weightlifting. We do language arts. All of us are really working hard. I love the students of Warrensville. One of the kids said to me, I didn't know what this means. He said I was street, and I wasn't sure if that was good or bad. One of our, matter of fact, at what is in Q, who is one of my favorites, he said, you know, you're short and you're little, and we just didn't see it coming this year. Take it as a compliment. Thank you very much for the love and support for our staff, and I appreciate you all very much.
What did you say?
Good evening. I'm Miss Everhart. I'm the other assistant principal at the high school.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much.
I am going to introduce to you our other person of the month, which is Mr. Mario Blue. Mr. Blue, come down. Mr. Mario Blue has only been with us for a few months. Mr. Blue, you've heard this saying, hit the ground running. Mr. Blue is our head custodian. He hit the ground running on the first day. We had a lot of challenges in the way of our building, but Mr. Blue, he enjoyed his job. If I had to use some words to describe him, he's dedicated, definitely tenacious, fun-loving, always interacting positively with our students and staff. He comes to us from Garfield Heights, and he says he was looking for better job opportunities. So hopefully Mr. Blue found it. We appreciate you so much, and I'll close by telling you a quote from Mr. Blue. He says, I like the energy of the students and also being able to solve problems during my work schedule. So again, Mr. Blue, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Congratulations, thank you. And both our OPSI and WEA Employee of the Month, they will receive a complimentary entree from Abuelos, which is over at Harvard Park. So that's in your envelope that you have. So I hope you guys enjoy it. All right. We will move right along. And as I was going to say earlier, so this is a regular board meeting, which means we will do a consent agenda where possible. When we had our informational meeting back on February 11th, that was the opportunity for the board members to ask questions, address any questions or concerns. It's not to say they might not have additional ones that come up, but our hope is to do a consent agenda and move right along with the meeting this evening. So having said that, Section 2, Item 2 is, again, I'm asking for a consent agenda for the treasurer's report and financial recommendations.
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve on the agenda 2.1 and 2.2 and 2.3 of the consent of the treasurer's report and financial recommendation.
Actually, I need to take out 2.2. We need to do that one separately. I apologize, I'm asking for a consent agenda for 2.1 and 2.3.
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve consent 2.1 and 2.3 for the treasurer's report and financial recommendations.
I second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second. Any questions or comments about any of these items?
For those people that doesn't know, Mr. Gamble's leaving us. When I was on the board in 2009, we made a great choice in hiring Mr. Gamble. We brought the district out of a financial mess. We were audited, the IRS was here. We were all subpoenaed. We all had our laptops confiscated. Mr. Gamble came in and cleaned up a financial mess. At that time, we had gone through many treasurers. A company that wanted to provide us with treasurers, they provided us with the lowest of the lowest. And then we moved in and hired another company who brought in Mr. Gamble. I'm just gonna say you're gonna be truly missed. I think you did a wonderful job. Whoever sits in your seat will have some huge shoes to fill.
Well, I'd like to, you know, in May of 1980, I started with the schools. Now it's going to be May of 2016. I did retire in 2009, and I could remember coming here for my first meeting. It was in December of 2009 before I started in 2010 here, and wasn't sure what I was getting into, and it was quite a feat. And I could say that, you know, my goal was to leave it better than I found it, and I think I did that. And I did it with the help of a lot of boards, a lot of administrations, a lot of staff, and a lot of good people. And I see, you know, a district turning now, but for me, it's just kind of like, you know, people tell you, you know when it's time, and I've kind of reached that time. But I'd like to say, and I always had support, and that was very important. And I'll always remember my days here. You know, I went to high school. I want to say one other thing. I went to high school in a small mill town outside of Pittsburgh, and the high school was almost a mirror image of Warrensville. So it was kind of something about Warrensville. I kind of stuck around for 6 years because it was myself, and I can remember, you know, we were always on the low end of the stick there too. But things happen and things get better, and I know things are going to get better here for Warrensville too. But I really want to thank all the support from every board and everybody else. So thank you very much.
One more thing, I need to make a correction. It wasn't the IRS that audited us, it was the FBI.
Oh, oh my.
The FBI came in to audit us because of lots and lots of misappropriations of things in the entire district. And that's what Mr. Gamble cleaned up.
So I'm just going to say, because Ms. Elba said it well, you've served this district well. I know I've mentioned that to you. You will be missed, and we certainly wish you well as you move on to your next phase. So thank you very much, and we'll see some more of you. I believe his last day is going to be around the 1st of May, so he'll be here for a little bit longer still. We're going to be starting a treasurer's search, so we're going to be leaning on you for some expertise on how to go about the selection process. So thank you again.
Again, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. So do we have any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Gamble, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Mumin,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba, and Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed, 5-0. We're going to go back to 2.2. We have an MOU to designate PNC Bank as a public depository for active, interim, and inactive deposits for the period beginning February 25th, 2016 through February 24th, 2021. Mr. Gamble, would you just explain what this MOU is about?
Yes. By the Ohio Revised Code, each year as the auditors come in, they asked if you have a depository contract, which we do, which expired yesterday with PNC Bank. This one will be backdated a day so that, you know, we don't have a lapse. But basically, it's saying that you have a depository and you have a place where you can put your money. Does that mean you have to stick with that bank? No. Does it mean you're locked into that bank? No. But each school district needs a depository to fit the Ohio Revised Code and, you know, meet audit standards each year. So basically, that's what, you know, our other depository contract expired, so we're just extending this one on.
Okay, all right, thank you for the explanation.
You need a motion, I think.
Thank you. No other questions or comments? Okay, Mr. Oh, we do need the motion, you said.
Yes.
Go ahead, I apologize. Can I have a motion, please, to accept item 2.2, the MOU?
Madam Chair, I move that this board move the consent treasurer's report and financial recommendation 2.2 MOU.
Can I have someone second it, please?
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second. Now, any other questions or comments?
I'd just like to make one comment, Madam Chair. I want to thank you, Don. I've been here now 8 months. You always had your door open. You gave me a lot of knowledge about our money. Now I know how to collect it. So when you're gone, I'll be the watchdog to get that money back, but I appreciate everything that you taught me.
I'm sure it'll be in good hands.
All right, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Gamble, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Mumin,
Yes.
Mitchell,
I abstain.
Mrs. Elba, and Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed 4-1. Is that how you
No,
say that?
it
It's
would
just
be
4-0.
4-0.
Okay, thank you. All right,
I had one more item. It's my year at a glance.
okay.
If it's up, Jonathan, if it's up there. Again, I started this out so the board can have a quick look at where we're at. And we're exactly at 6 months into the fiscal year. So if you can move to the second slide, Jonathan. This is our revenue through the first 6 months. 5.7 million in taxes, 6.5 from the state, and 3.6 million in miscellaneous. That's $15.8 million. The reason the taxes are starting to level out is the tax collection is over, but now in January, as probably everybody knows, they got their tax bill. We'll start getting more money in January and also in this month, and you'll see that the taxes will start creeping up and actually exceeding the state revenue as we go into next month. Next slide, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Come on. This is how the money breaks down. This is how we spent money in our first 6 months of operations. You can see it's 7.7 million and 2.3 million in personnel and benefits. 4.5, that may look high, but that's the money that's going out to community schools and vouchers and open enrollment. Supplies at about 534, capital at 287, and other at 994. I'd like to say that since Mr. Jolly's been here, he has been really watching the budget and also approving requisitions before they're issued. So he's making a difference in what we're spending each month. So it's 16.5 million. Next slide, Jonathan. So this is a real quick recap, and excuse me, even though our expenditures are exceeding revenue, that's only for this month. Next month, you'll see an improvement in this. But all school districts, they start collecting money in July, start spending it down. To be only over by $686,000 is a very good position to be in at this point. Keep in mind, this does not take into account any of our opening cash balances. This is just money coming in and going out in the first 6 months. And I believe there's one more slide. So we're tracking this each month. We started in October when we did our first spending plan for the year. So you could see that you collect your money and then you start spending it, and it's slowly the expenditures start exceeding the revenue, but not by much, not even a little over $500,000. And then next month, you'll see that January and February, we started to collect our taxes again. And what's going to happen is the revenue's going to exceed the expenditures. So just to give you a quick idea of how much money we're getting and how it's being spent, and we're right on track for where we should be at this time of the year. So just, if there were any questions, yeah, feel free to.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Gamble? Thank you very much. I find that to be helpful and informative, so thank you. All right, moving right along. Item number 3, again, consent agenda, but it's just the one item. 3.1 is a resignation. Recommended action is to accept the resignation of Ms. Mia Johnson, Confidential Executive Administrative Assistant. Can I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I move that this board move consent superintendent's recommendation and presentations for board action, administrative staff, 3.1, resignation.
I second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved in second. Any questions or comments? Okay.
That is May, is what I'm calling it. I've known this May for years. This May has basically ran the HR. We went through a lot after Mr. Costello, and Ms. May took over, and there's been so many people to step into that, and she's always picked up the ball, never let it drop, and kept it moving. Another disservice to the district to see her leave, but I wish you well.
And again, I'm just going to echo what she said. What is it, 16 years, Mia? So when I started with the district, I started because I ran into Mia one day at Family Dollar, and I said, I got to get out of the post office. She said, girl, we're hiring. So I put my application in, and it was because of her that I was able to get into the district. And like Ms. Elba said, you've been through what, probably about 7 or 8 HR directors in 16 years? So that's like every other year she was getting a new boss. So when you talk about change, she's experienced the change firsthand, and just like Ms. Elba said, she has kept that department running. So we're going to miss you. I know Ms. Hunt is going to miss you. She's going to have you on speed dial. So we wish you well. We hate to see you go, but for those that don't know, Mia has been back to school. She's getting ready to get her master's, and she's got an excellent opportunity So we wish you well, and you're going to be missed. All right. Any other questions or comments?
I just want to say, we're going to miss you, Mia. I've known you probably about 35 years. We're classmates. We graduated together. You thought I forgot about you Monday, didn't you? About your present. You thought I forgot, didn't you? But I didn't forget you. But we're going to definitely miss you, and I appreciate all that you've done for this district. All right?
All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Mr. Gamble, would you call the roll?
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Muman,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba, and Mrs. Gator.
Yes. Motion passed 5-0. All right. I am asking for a consent agenda for item 4. We are looking at 4.1, 4.2, and that's it. So may I have a motion, please, to accept those 2 items as a consent agenda?
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve consent superintendent's recommendation and presentation for board action certified staff, 4.1 employment supplemental coaching, and 4.2 employment extended day teachers, Eastwood Elementary, 3rd grade reading blast.
May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second. Any questions or comments about either of the items that we're voting on?
When does the spring sports start?
Anyone in particular?
They all should be starting in March. No, I don't. I will come to the board with a date on when each sport starts.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Gamble, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Muman,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba, and Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed 5-0. Item number 5, consent agenda, superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board action classified staff. Asking for a consent agenda for 5-1, 5-2, and 5-3. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve consent superintendent's recommendation and presentation for board action classified staff, 5.2, employment of food service personnel. I said 5.2. Oh, I thought you wanted to miss that.
No, no,
Oh,
no, no, we're doing all of them.
Okay, I'm
5.1,
sorry.
2, and 3.
Madam Chair, I move that we move the consent agenda superintendent's recommendation and presentation for board action classified staff, 5.1, resignation, 5.2, employment of food service personnel, and 5.3, substitute secretary.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second. Any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a plan to lay off secretaries?
No, there's no plan.
Any other questions or comments?
I guess I have another one. We have so many secretaries in the district, why are we doing subs?
Well, we are doing subs to our pool when we don't have enough people. There's days when we don't have coverage. The high school has 4 people. We have not been moving people around, so we have them just in case we need them. They are a pool. They're not being used every day, but they're there for just in case we need them.
Is there a reason we're not moving people around?
Oh, there's no reason. We haven't moved people around. Eastwood only has 1 secretary. John Dewey only has 1 secretary. The high school has the most, which is 4. Our other areas are critical. I don't know any area that's overstaffed with secretaries at this time. So we have the subs just in case we need them. And most of the time they cover the schools.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Gamble, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Muman,
Yes.
and Mrs. Elba.
Motion passed 5-0. Item number 6, consent agenda for superintendent's recommendations, presentations for personnel and programs. We are looking for a consent agenda for item 6.1 all the way through 6.8. Thank you. Any questions or comment? Well, yeah. Any questions or comments about? No, I'm sorry. Can I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve the consent superintendent's recommendation and presentation for personnel and programs, 6.1 donation, 6.2 donation, 6.3 donation, 6.4 donation, 6.5 school hours for school year 2016-2017, 6.6 agreement, the literacy cooperative, and 6.7 agreement, whole brain teaching, LLC professional development, and 6.8 lease proposal, Warrensville Heights High School Gymnasium.
May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved in second. Any questions or comments about any of the items we're voting on?
I'd like to speak on 6.8, the lease of Warrensville Heights Gymnasium. This is a lease agreement with Cleveland Heights High School. Currently, their high school is under construction. They reached out to us. They're currently renting our pool for $50,000 to use our pool after school for their swimming programs. Next year, they want to use our gym to host 8 games, 16 games total, 8 girls, 8 boys. We talked to Mr. Swift about coordination of the programs, and we believe it would be great for us with a profit to the district of about $40,000. They will incur all costs of custodians, and they will run the events. They have their own security and so forth. So we brought it to the board because we believe it will allow us to make some money, but also a partner in district who we are in collaboration with our career tech programs and other items, that it would be a great opportunity for us to collaborate. And it'll only be for next school year.
Okay. Ms. Elba, you have the floor. You had a question or comment?
I'm seeing a lot of programs that we have, programs that we currently have, and how are they being monitored before we add these other ones?
I need some clarity. So the literacy cooperative, that's being monitored by Ms. Lozar. Ms. Lozar can be getting more detail about that, but I did speak on it at the last meeting. We have 18 students at the high school that support students at John Dewey. So we are monitoring that on a continuous basis. The whole brain teaching is for our Blue and Gold Academy. It is teacher professional development to help our teachers understand how to teach children in different ways. It's about the brain and finding different ways to reach children. Other programs, the school hours, again, we changed school hours to accommodate our bus schedule and to maximize our student engagement time. So all our programs that we have, our iReady programs, all the different programs we have, we get in the data. Some of the data that Ms. McDowell today presented is our monitoring of the program. Any program that's not working, we did stop programs. First semester, we had a drama program. We stopped it because we didn't view as being successful. We had a dance program that we stopped because it wasn't being successful. The participation wasn't up. So each program that we have, we'll monitor it. And if it's not successful, if it's not, doesn't have participation, if it doesn't move the data, then we'll end it.
Can I just interject real quick? On one of the things that she asked, though, was how many programs do we have? So I'm thinking that might be something to gather for us.
Yeah, I'll gather it.
Within the next, before, I'm not even going to say before the next meeting, but maybe by the first meeting in April, if you could give us an idea of what programs we've got, maybe even let us know how you think these programs are working. If you think you need more time for something like that, then just let us know.
No, we can get that for our next meeting. That won't be a problem at all.
All right, that would be great. I apologize. Go ahead, Ms. Alva.
That's what I was going to ask. I want to know the programs that we have, the grades that they're targeting, so we'll know what's succeeding and what's failing. Because if you're constantly rolling on all of these programs, you're never going to know what's working and what's not working.
I would say give yourself some time with that. Don't push yourself to have to get it next meeting.
Yeah, and I did want to recognize the brochure, which the brochure is all the programs we bought this year.
And for those of you that don't know, this is Ms. Sherry Farmer. She is our parent liaison at the high school.
But I will put something else
Yay.
together. But our brochure does highlight most of the programs that we have, but I will put something else together also. But it does break it down by elementary school, middle school, and high school. But we have additional programs that's not in here that we will add to it.
Okay, thank you. Did you have something else, Ms. Elba? Nope. Does anyone else have any other questions? Okay.
I'm looking at the school hours,
Yes, ma'am.
and the reason why I'm bringing it to attention because my concern had always been with the student walking from Banbury, the high school, Country Lane, and over there off of Embry. If they was my children, I wouldn't want them to walk so far in the morning. So I'm asking that is any way possible that we can look at the busing schedule to see is it any way possible from December the 1st to April 1st that we can provide transportation for those students that have to walk so far. And I'm thinking that if we can provide the transportation, attendance would go up. So I think that's something that we really need to look into in the change of schedules, and hopefully from the change of schedule that we can kind of fit that in. So,
We're definitely looking into busing the high school students. There are some Ohio Revised Code restrictions that have prevented us from doing it, but we will continue to explore it.
And this is something that's been mentioned several times before. We have this new busing program, yeah, that will allow us to cost out, how our routes are, how much they're costing us, how efficient they are. It's a routing system. So maybe we can even utilize that as well to see if it is something that we can work through. So anything you could come up with, that would be great, because I agree. That is a problem, especially for our high school students.
Madam Chair, I just want to address colleague Newman. I did sit down with Mr. Black in transportation. The actual system that we did purchase, they are using it, so they're getting the kinks and the bugs out. They just started doing it as of Monday, but they'll have a better gauge for the board to tell us about schedules and what they can do and what they can't.
So for the community, we have a computerized system.
Right.
Up until now, we didn't have a computerized system. So he's able to download each student's address, and then the computer will map out routes and who was on what bus. Up until this year when we came here, and I don't want to speak on the past, but when we came here this year, we did not have a computerized system, which caused us some problems. So we rectified it by computerizing our bus routing system.
Any other questions or comments about any of the items under item number 6? Hearing none, Mr. Gamble, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Muman,
yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
and Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed 5-0. All right, we're going on to number 7, unfinished business. Do we have any committee reports? Any committee reports? I can tell you, policy committee, I did ask about those 2 updates. Are we just about ready to have those updates brought to the board?
Yes, we'll be ready next week with the
Okay,
updates.
all right. And what I'm referring to is we get updates from Neola on any policy changes. When those updates come in, Mr. Jolly and his staff will review them and then bring them to the board for a reading and a board meeting. So that's what we're waiting on as far as policy. And just as an update to budget and finance, we're waiting on the report from the auditor. And then, given the fact that Mr. Gamble is putting in his resignation, we kind of have to figure out what kind of information is going to be important prior to you leaving. So
Right.
we'll circle back with that.
Okay, and I did just send that with the, what happens is when the audit is over, the auditor has to sign off and we have to sign off. And then electronically, it's sent down to the Federal Clearinghouse. So that was just done early this week. I think it was Tuesday. So printed reports will be coming out also with a management letter for every board member. And then we can get this committee to go over those reports, and I think we could look at whatever else we have to do in the interim from changing.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. Although this is not an actual committee, you might recall that the library had a visioning session for a garden that they're doing. I did attend the meeting, as did Ms. Everhart, and it was pretty interesting. They're definitely doing a much smaller version of what we were looking to do over at Eastwood. They were, had us discussing different themes that we want, what we envision in the library, and the community members and different people that were there came up with some pretty interesting ideas, like a salad bar type garden. It was 3 different gardens that were 4 by 4 each, and they asked us to configure it any way that we wanted. Someone suggested seating so that when the students are participating in, over the summertime, then they could use that for lessons. Someone said a nice gondola. Someone even suggested having a food prep area so that as they're pulling the vegetables or whatever's in their garden up, they can actually start preparing the food to eat it. So they're still in the planning phases. They're going to call another meeting, and I think I'm going to keep going because they're giving us some really good information. And Ms. Mitchell, that might be something you want to consider coming to too. Okay, as a matter of fact, I did see something. So yeah, and we do want to meet with you about the Eastwood Garden. Just I know that you guys are probably going to be picking something back up soon in March. So we do want to try and get a meeting going, okay? All right. Any other committee reports? All right. Do we have any, well, I didn't get any emails about new business. Any correspondence? No. No correspondence. Announcements. So the only announcements that we have at this point is our next, you know what, our next meeting. We have a special meeting on March 2nd, and I'll let Mr. Jolly tell the community about this meeting.
Yes, on March 2nd, we will have a special meeting to discuss the Ohio Facilities Commission findings for our district. During that meeting, we are seeking information from the community, input from the community on what's the next steps for the community. So it'll be a hands-on session. We want people actively engaged in looking and reviewing our options. We have some tight deadlines that we have to meet, but we have to come to the community and get your input. So on March 2nd, it'll probably be about an hour and a half or 2-hour meeting. It'll be at, what time is it, Don? Is it?
It's at 6:30.
6:30. You'll be,
You know what, I think we put on the notice here, and then just so everybody knows, depending on what kind of a crowd we get, we might very well be moving to the auditorium. So the plan is here for now, though.
and we'll have breakout sessions too, so it'll be times in here, and then we'll break out to other places to review the options.
Okay, thank you. Our next informational meeting will be March 10th, and then we will have a regular meeting on March 24th. All right, no other announcements. This board does need to go into executive session. Some old business? Okay, go ahead.
I'm just gonna read some of these. Did the board make a decision on finding or hiring a company that's gonna do the treasure search.
We're going to meet with someone in executive session to discuss that.
The reason that I asked is because I had to contact, OSBA because I wasn't really sure, I couldn't remember from the last time. But according to Ohio Revised Code 121.22G, if the board has not agreed on them and they're providing candidates, that has to be a public meeting because all they're doing is providing information. Because I, for one, would like to hear from the other company that does do searches. That's number one. The second thing that I have is that we have hired staff that the board votes on that does not stick around for the entire event of a student. And they've been leaving and having other staffs track them home. So if we're paying a staff member to take a student, take several students to an event, then they need to return back with them. I mentioned this once before, but as we move forward, Mr. Gamble, is there funding for our spring sports? We have track teams that when they go out, since it appears to be all about presentation and looking the parts, our track team looks a hot mess. I had the option of watching the track team on this Saturday when they competed. They had plain yellow shirts on, shorts on, navy blue. There was no logo, there was no anything to even specify that it was Warrensville. I'm sure we can find in our athletic fund or in our permanent improvement fund to purchase uniforms since these children do go out and they do represent this district.
We did this year, and we typically every year transfer from the general fund to $250,000 to the athletic fund to run all athletic programs. We did make that transfer down this year, and there is money in the athletic budget. So I could say this right now, there is money in the athletic budget to support buying whatever is needed. It's up to probably the AD to do a requisition to get these equipment that's needed. But there is funding,
I
so.
know a year or so ago, the boys had uniforms. They were supposedly new, but they were gray. And the last I checked, the colors were blue and gold. That was a concern. Also, I noticed that, we used to, take care of our kids when they participated in sports. I know that our winter sports are taken care of as far as feeding them and making sure that they have what they need while they're out at home games or away games. But if anybody's ever been to a track meet, these kids leave this building 6:30, 7 in the morning, and they don't return till 6:30 or 7 in the evening. And there are only certain things that they can eat. Now, when Ms. Wren was here and running the thing at the high school, she made sure, her and Ms. Dunning, that the children had some kind of fruit or vegetables because they can't have meat. You can't pack sandwiches because they're spoiled and that will affect them when running. Is there a plan to have that come back? We can't have our kids out here and we can't assume that our parents can financially afford to feed them. They can barely feed them Monday through Friday. And most of these kids, a sport is an outlet. And we shouldn't want to discourage kids in competing in any type of sport and not being able to take care of them when it's really no cost to the district. And that's just not for you.
I know, but I'm just saying that there is funding available. It's just a matter of getting it done.
So let me ask this, because you're bringing these concerns to, I guess, the board. Have you discussed these with Mr. Jolly or with the athletic director?
I've discussed some of them with Mr. Jolly, I sure have. Yes,
Okay,
I
because I think in all fairness, we're not prepared to answer these questions. And hold on, just give me 1 minute, please. And in all fairness to athletics, I think we should be allowing him to address these questions and concerns. I hear what you're saying, but bringing it to us in this format,
First, I have to bring it to an open meeting because this is nothing that can go through email because that will constitute a meeting. It's nothing that discusses an executive session because we're not talking about disciplining anybody. I'm bringing it to the forefront so it can be addressed. So it doesn't matter who addresses it. At the bottom line, at the end of the day, it's about the kids and it needs to be addressed. That's why I'm bringing it to the front. Another thing that I want to bring to the front, Mr. Jenkins received a donation that I haven't seen across any agenda of 20 pair of tennis shoes for the track team. I didn't see that come across, so I'm bringing it out there. Also, I do want to congratulate Ms. Henderson, Ms. Carlovitz, and Mr. Coleman. I've had the experience of working with them for quite a while, and I've noticed that Ms. Henderson and Ms. Carlovitz go above and beyond for our seniors financially, as well as preparing them for graduation and prom and anything. And I've never seen them recognized, especially Ms. Henderson, even though she probably wouldn't want to be recognized. But those are the kind of people that we need to shine. You know, a lot of people don't like to be shined in the out because they're doing what they call God's work. But every now and then, we do need to recognize them. Another thing that, in case the board didn't know, that when our students go on field trips, those kind of things should be board approved. I know the cheerleaders are getting ready to leave next week. You can't have a special meeting just to vote for that. So I don't know if anyone's even considered that. I know the middle school cheerleaders are going somewhere in 2 weeks. I haven't seen that. But I'm just bringing this out here to the forefront so somebody can look into it and it can come back so it can be voted on.
We appreciate that.
And my final thing is, this is a huge concern for me. I understand I'm not bringing any names because if I bring a name, it has to go into executive session. So I'm just going to put it out here. 2 students were suspended. 1 student was related to an administrator, and they received preferential treatment while the other student didn't. I have a concern with that because it doesn't matter who you're related to, what administrator, what teacher, or whatever. They both committed the same crime or same offense, not crime, the same offense. And they both should have been treated the same and not one over the other. So that's all I have, and I thank you guys for listening.
All right, so I have to say this, although I appreciate your comments, I just think that in all fairness to everybody, at least have a discussion with the superintendent. You don't have to email. You can pick up the phone and call Mr. Jolly and say, hey, this is what I'm hearing. Not everything negative or indifferent has to be brought to the public. That's my perspective. If there's a problem with the suspension, you let Mr. Jolly and his staff handle it.
Well, these are not meant to be negative, and no one should take it as negative. These are just things that are out. There's good and there's bad in everything. And I get you guys only want to highlight the good stuff.
No, that's not true.
But I want to put everything out there. Mr. Jolly, Mr. Gamble, you guys can deal what you do with it, but I'm just putting it out there that it was known.
Okay,
So.
all right. Well, we appreciate your comments. We will look into it, what we can. And what I'm going to suggest to Mr. Jolly is those things that fall under your department, your staff, personnel type issues, please address them. Maybe have a discussion with Coach Swift to get clarification on what's going on with uniforms. And I believe we're talking the cross-country team.
Track.
Is that correct?
Indoor.
Cross-country? Indoor.
It was
Okay.
supposed
It's
to be.
indoor and outdoor.
Well, they haven't started outdoor track, so
So it's
we'll
a
get
good
clarification on that.
But they're the same uniforms. That's why
Okay,
I mentioned.
we'll get clarification on the uniforms.
They need new uniforms.
Okay, and we will also get clarification on what permanent improvement funds can be used for. I don't think we can use or we should use permanent improvement funds for uniforms.
A permanent improvement has to last 5 years. I don't know if a uniform lasts 5 years, but we wouldn't want to buy it out of the permanent. We purposely transfer that money down to support all athletics. So I think it's just a matter of someone writing a requisition and getting it done, because there are funds in the athletic 300 fund, which is the athletic fund, for purposes of uniforms. So I think it just has to get done. The board, transfers that money every year because the athletics aren't at a point where they can get gates big enough where they can support their own athletic program. And we've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years now. So it's just a matter of someone saying, getting the requisition done and ordering the uniforms. It's that simple. We do have the funds. And if we would run short, then the general fund could transfer a little more to cover those expenditures. So it's just a matter of doing it.
Okay, and then for my other board members, for all of the board members, if you guys hear something out there in the community that's of concern, me personally, I like to bring it to Mr. Jolly. And that's not to say that the only thing that we want to bring to the public is the good, but those are things that he needs to be addressing. So I'm asking as a board, and this probably is something that we'll be discussing when we have our retreat, is how we want to handle communication. But if you hear something that's troubling, that's concerning, sure, you can bring it to the public, but at least give Mr. Jolly the opportunity to address it in advance. I just think that's the fair thing to do. So we appreciate your concerns being brought forward. I would just say that in the future, if we could please give him the opportunity to address them, that would be a better way to handle this. Yes, Ms. Moomin.
I'm going to speak on communication. I think sometimes the biggest problem is the lack of communication. It is so important. We're a small community. We should be able to go to Mr. Jolly. We should be able to go to Mr. Swift if there's a concern and address it. That's all we have to do, is address the concern. I'm going to do that. I don't think it's something that I have to bring here. I'm going to go to Mr. Swift and say, I'm concerned the way our athlete looks on the field. I'm going to talk to him about that. And then I want him to give me his feedback. But we must, guys, in order to be successful, we must communicate with each other. We have to. That's the only way that we're going to have a successful school. That's the only way we're going to have a successful community.
Okay, thank you. And then there's one other thing that you mentioned, and I got to say this as a board. The information that you shared about executive session, I really would have appreciated if you would have shared that with us ahead of time.
I just got the information at 6 o'clock this evening. Just came from an email at 6 o'clock.
Okay, so we have Finding Leaders here now to do a presentation. We were going to discuss this in executive session, so the information that you have is good. Again, I wish I would have had it ahead of time. I will ask them if they would like to do a presentation now, or if you guys would like to come back. I'm told that this is something that needs to be done in a public format. I don't know if you're prepared to address it in such a way, or if you guys would like to come back. Okay. Okay, that would be great. Do you guys mind us adding this to the agenda? Do we need to make a motion to add this to the agenda? Or are we good with just asking them to come up and speak? Any comments? Okay, all right. Well, whenever you guys are ready, come on down. We will not be going into executive session. But we will have this discussion. So if the community would like to stay, the company that is coming forward is Finding Leaders. They are going to be potentially helping us with a treasurer search. She's got to start communicating better. Thank you, everybody. We're just going to recess.
Alicia.
How you doing? Goodness.
Madam Chair,
These not yours.
this board recess for 5 minutes.
They asked me to come down, everybody went
Second.
down the room.
Yeah, I know what's going on.
Ray.
second.
It will be an
These
executive
yours?
session by the time it's done.
Oh, okay. You're good. I'm about to find you.
No, no, no. I told him I love you to death, but these honeydews will kill him.
Well,
See ya.
Here's the thing, Mimi. After the way you guys performed the last time, I told you I would never do this again. I would say, now you can go away. Because I walked away from you. But now,
All right, this isn't, just gonna say that.
Oh, a lot of nice things were said about you. Thank you. Pretty nice. You don't want to stay for the... Oh, I'd love to.
All right, we're just going to go into recess for about 5 minutes. We really want to get this meeting moving, so I want to thank everybody. So nice to meet you. Oh my God. And that's so nice.
We're getting there.
Okay, I know you're not going yet, but I'm gonna send you a prayer.
Oh, thank you. That's right. How you doing? I'm happy to see you.
Officially the 29th, but I'll be gone the 22nd of April. Because I want to get, if I stay till the end, then it'll be another month before it'll be in the final report. So I'm going to use the last 5 days. April 22nd is my planned last day.
So then what? 23rd.
Well, that's another story. You know, I retired once, twice. Who knows what will happen?
No travel or?
I'm gonna take a break right now and maybe hit a golf ball around. Try to lower my handicap maybe. But like I said, I can remember when I came here. So
You should feel good about your time.
I think, yeah, I think I got, you know, it's, we have a very good 5-year, and there's some positive things happening. We're with the OFC, getting a project going. For me, it's just time, you know. Yeah, I mean, people used to tell me that. I never believed it. You know, I was like, come on, you know, but. So
I expect to see you travel around the world or buy an island or something.
Yeah, well, you know.
Start your own country.
Yeah. My own school district.
There you go.
But anyhow, yeah, that's.
Thank you for listening to yourself and knowing.
Believe me, your body tells you. You don't have to tell yourself. I wish I could have beat Roll's record, but I think it's impossible.
Yeah, me too.
Well, you did clear a house. Turned into executive session.
And get started. Where's all my board members at? All right.
Mimi, please do.
I would like to get started if we can, please.
Mimi, I'm gonna call you tonight.
Yeah. You have to get me out. I'll be at the BAR.
No, I'm not gonna call you tonight. It's gonna be too late. I'm tired.
Matter.
You work tomorrow?
Yeah.
Mark.
according to, we're not going to executive.
No, we don't need to.
I'll be in touch with you next
Did Maddie leave? She did. Donna.
Okay.
She did.
All right,
All
so.
right, thank you. I appreciate it. That works.
No, we,
Okay. All right, so we
Open
have the
session.
gentleman here from Community Leaders. Go right ahead, and we appreciate your switching gears with us here. Thanks.
Oh, all right.
Excuse me.
Hold on.
Excuse me. You have to leave the door open because it's a public meeting.
Right, just crack it a little bit. That'll be wide.
Research is that finding leaders in Ohio, done with ASBO, and that's the Treasury State Organization of Business Managers. So this is a partnership between ASBO and finding leaders. We have automatic statewide network. There would be three of us working on this treasurer position. Myself, Dan Wilson, who's the treasurer of Midwestern Schools, and Ryan Kennedy, my son, who's the treasurer of Akron City Schools. So the three of us would be networking and working on with ASBO in this particular system. You have a packet of material there. You can lead through it at midnight tonight if you want to. There is a proposal. There's a contract that is everything we do. There's a checklist of information, and that's really what I thought we were going to get to tonight, is a checklist of information which kicks off the search. But evidently you're not quite ready to do that yet.
I apologize for the communication.
There's also a suggested timeline and understanding that Mr. Gamble will be meeting on May 1st. We're probably looking at the necessity of an interim treasurer. These treasurer searches that you can help me with usually take at least 3 months, 3.5, 4 months. And I have to also tell you that the treasurer position is by far the most difficult position to fill in a school district. By far. Although not too far behind by high school principal, followed by superintendent. But the treasurer is the very most difficult position to find. Okay. We were ready, right now, we're ready to begin advertising this tomorrow. You aren't quite ready to do that yet. But we would advertise on our website all throughout Ohio. Every treasurer, every business manager in Ohio would be contacted through the statewide network. It would be advertised through BASA, through ASBO, and all of the materials. So we are ready to go with the efforts. And a posting is actually in your packet as well. Before you would look at it, you can make any changes to that posting. One of the most important parts of what we do is we want to meet with your treasure staff. And Dan and I will be doing that.
I've come to understand that the role of many treasurers has two components. One is to find the best available person based on the profile we build and the needs that we identify for the district. And the second part of that sometimes is overlooked, is to create the best environment for the new person to be successful. And one of the key ways of doing that is to come in and look under the covers, to go into the treasurer's office, look for best practices, look for currency and all the major functions you're occurring, look at the staffing levels to ensure that there's adequate staffing, to help predetermine if there's some major issues in conversation with the board, with the incumbent treasurer permitted, with the superintendent permitted. So there aren't any surprises. I think we can help build this best opportunity for success. So by coming in, people that are practicing in the field, I think we have a good sense of what those best practices are, what we should expect to see, and can talk the language of that to ensure that, again, we're building an environment for the next person to be successful.
And that's extremely important. At the end of the search, we will present to you and the new treasurer a transition plan. It is a one-year transition plan that kind of outlines the steps we think are really necessary to build the relationships in order for that person to be successful. That's really, really important. Your job isn't done in hiring a superintendent or hiring a treasurer the moment you hire someone. You really have to work at that transition and building opportunity for success. As I indicated, this is the most difficult position to fill right now. We are working with the Rain City right now, Sandusky Perkins right now. And in fact, I'm reporting to the Rain City Board on Monday. And we do have the field narrowed down. So what we typically do is advertise and recruit, spend a lot of time on the phone, networking, and recruiting. We will interview then a number of candidates, sometimes 10, sometimes 15, depending on the number of candidates we have, and try to narrow the field down for you to a workable number. I think in Lorraine City, I'm taking 5 semi-finalists, but I'm presenting all of the resumes to the Lorraine City Board so they know and understand who everybody who has applied and why we narrowed the field down to 5. Then we ask the board to interview those 5 and see if they can narrow the field down to 2. Then spend about a week doing their own due diligence, networking with those 2 employers, one of the business those 2 people, trying to interact with them in an informal sense, and then bring the 2 back for a final board interview. One of those interviews, that was the first interview or the second interview, we asked the candidates to do a presentation to you as if they were presenting to a Warrensville community meeting on refinement forecast. So you get an opportunity to see them act and interact and how they might present.
There's another dimension of this presentation section. One is for you to see the style, the communication skills of the candidate, to see if you can even understand what they're doing. From our perspective, what we're looking for and what we'll share with the board after this exercise is, was it a correct analysis? They could communicate wonderfully, but if they misunderstood the forecast or represented something other than it is, that's an issue. So we're looking from the technical aspects. Did they do, by studying the forecast, using their own methodology to validate and prepare a presentation, are they accurately representing what the known condition of the district? So there's kind of 2 parts to that exercise for us to get a better, deeper feel.
I've also included in your packet a sample brochure from the Solon search of a few years ago. We typically, these days, do not use brochures, but we will if you want to. We will design the brochure. The only thing we ask you to do is print it, and you can do that in-house on color printer to save you time. Typically, we will develop a brochure or a flyer or an announcement to be blasted throughout the state of Ohio. That kind of takes the place of the picture, but we can do a brochure. The real critical component of beginning the search is the checklist. And the checklist helps us and helps you define the qualities and characteristics of a new person. And we talk about such things as residency. We talk about who you compare your school district to, other school districts, the strengths and weaknesses of your school district, any issues that your treasurer might be facing in accepting the job, and a lot of other information that helps us advocate. I refer you to the last page, I think it's that's on the right, with the suggested timeline. It's actually a indicated August 1st. We've got new courses that will start June 1st or July 1st, strictly this time. But refer to that proposal timeline indicating the jobs that we have to do initially in the advertising and the screening and preparing to present our list of semifinalists to the board, and then your responsibility. We are part of the process. We form a team with you. So we are here at every interview. We line up the candidates. We always call the candidates, line them up. You never have to call a candidate and say, sorry, you didn't make it. We do that. It's our responsibility. And we facilitate the interviews. We don't participate. We may be in the room, we may be at the table, but they're your questions. We'll provide you with some sample questions. You can use them, use some of them, add your own questions for both round one and round two. That's kind of the process, Dan. Anything else to add?
Yes, a couple things. Hearing tonight, you may want to talk to other firms to gauge their services. I'd like to talk a little bit more about our philosophical approach to it, generally why you should use a consultant. I think you've come to that decision, and some of the things that we bring to you to the process. Again, we have a fundamental belief that past performance is the best indicator of future success. And a large part of what we do is try to understand the marketplace, that we have an extensive network that knows many of the candidates. We participate in development seminars and processes to try to identify people that will be entering our profession. So we do rely on, and we do an awful lot of pre-qualification based on past performance. And we think that's very vital for us. I think perhaps you've experienced before, some people can come in and have the best interviewer you've ever seen in the world.
Right.
But they can't always back it up. And it's our job to make sure what you see, and like Paul said, we're involved every step of the process. If what someone says or represents in an interview is different than what we gained from our network of who this person is, we are going to share that with you after the fact, that we may want to probe further or get deeper because we're hearing things that are not totally consistent with some of the pre-qualifications that we get. We've always believed that there's a recruitment element to this. As Paul said, in the state of Ohio, you have to have a license to be a treasurer. There are some very, as it turns out, restrictive elements to gaining a treasurer's license. And it really does mirror the field. That if you want an experienced treasurer, we have to go recruit someone away. If we're going to entertain the possibility of a first-time treasurer, as Paul says, we've got to then build this network around them of some mentorship, maybe extending one of the requirements to get a treasurer's license is you have to have 300 hours of field service. So having someone extend or stay as an interim, or someone to be that mentor to provide those hours to even get them properly licensed. So I think we can help with that process, and because it's such a tight field, that the recruitment aspect, and there are some firms, and it works for them, so it's just different than us. They rely on an advertisement and looking at the people that self-declare an interest. Our approach is very, very different. We work our networks. We go out and look for people that fit the identified needs of our clients, rather than simply sort through those that apply and try to find one that may be a close match to it. So fundamentally, I think our approach is different than many of the others that are in the field.
Let me add to that just a moment. This school year, we have hosted in Columbus with OASCO 2 seminars called So You Want to Be a School Treasurer. And we've had about 30 people attend each seminar. We hired one person from that seminar just about a month ago in southeastern Ohio. And I received a phone call just this afternoon from another person who was at that seminar, who received their treasurer's license and is now ready to move into treasury. So that's part of our outreach program. We're trying trying to grow the profession.
Good. And the one last point I'll make is, we think it's a distinct advantage to have practitioners involved as part of your consulting team. Both Ryan and I are practicing treasurers with a lot of experience. We build a lot of networks. Sometimes our clients say, well, yeah, but you're going to have then preferred candidates or colleagues that you network with, and they have an advantage over someone else who's really qualified. And that's a very valid concern. What I will tell you is, we have a long track record. Most of my consulting was independent. I've joined with Finding Leaders in the last couple of years, but there is a track record to see otherwise. I have personally known on more than just a handshake basis over 80% of the treasurers we've placed, but I've also known 10 times as many colleagues equally well that I had to make that call to say it just wasn't the right fit. So we are truly driven through this process, and we spend a lot of time building what we call our profile, and that's identifying the skill sets, experiences, and matching them with the needs of this district at this moment. I had the opportunity to work with the district in 2009, and when we went through this profile process, you were at a different place in 2009 as you were today. So we can't just pull off the shelf and say, well, here's the profile. In fact, I brought it with me just for old time's sake. Some of it may be applicable, but others don't reflect 2016. So we very much, once we agree upon the profile, the skill sets, experiences, training, and the current needs of the district, that drives everything. And that's the filter we use, not who we've networked through or who we've identified as an emerging client. It's really driven by, again, finding the best candidate based on that profile. So we would very much appreciate an opportunity to work with you again and respect whatever process you go through. We're ready to begin very soon. As Paul said, a successful search takes 3.5 or 4 months. That's going to go well past the time of Don's departure and will require some interim. The only time sensitivity we see, and we can't always control who else may be in the marketplace at the same time, but what we do know, your fiscal year ends June 30th. You have an update to the 5-year forecast in May. Yes, a qualified interim can help do those things, but ideally you want someone on board before the end of the fiscal year to help with that close, get a feel, get involved with building next year's budget. And I heard a lot of budget discussions tonight in the last part of the meeting I was able to observe. So you want someone to kind of get through that initial orientation and be ready to be a great resource to the superintendent, to the board going forward. So while you need to take all the time you need to make your decision, please know that there are some better times than others. And in this case, sooner is better than later. It's not fatal, but if you're able to select someone and start soon, that would be the best.
We'd like to answer any questions you may have for us.
All right, I'll let the board members go around. Do you have questions?
I have questions,
All right,
yeah.
We'll start and we'll go around.
How many treasurers have you placed in the past, and what is their average tenure staying in their placement?
I haven't counted the number of treasurers we have placed, maybe you have them.
I will here in 1 second while you're talking.
Right now, we have 2 treasurers, which is down perhaps the third one. And last year, I think we placed 4 treasurers, let's go back years after that, I have not counted. And to date, over the past 5 years, I do not recall anyone having left that position.
I have done 21 searches. Again, I've been a full-time way back in the last decade, so this is something I do in addition to my full-time responsibilities. But over the last 25 years, I've done 21. In the last 2.5 years, they've been in cooperation with Finding Leaders in Warrensville. In 2 cases, I had a treasurer depart within 2 years. All the others, the tenure are still ongoing or exceeded 5 or 6 years. And I think we were fortunate. I'll brag a little bit on all of you that Don, been a valuable member of your management team in those years, and I think that's more representative of the results.
I do have a question for you, gentlemen. You did help on the last search, I believe. And like you said, the scale has changed for this district, and we're going to look for someone like Don, or if we could get even a bit of Don, or take a piece of him. And you said 3.5 normally is the time frame, or when you can find them?
3.5 months.
Right, 3.5 months. I'm sorry, 3.5 months. Now in this time, are you seeing a lot of candidates in your pool, or right now? I mean, in 2016, are you seeing?
The candidate pool is very narrow.
Okay.
Very shallow. For example, Lorraine City. Some similarities, some dissimilarities. I think we have a total of 16 candidates.
Okay.
Perkins local, much different clientele, much different situation. We closed the first round of applications that have gone back now to advertise the second round.
Okay.
So there are not a lot of candidates.
And I can share with you, in the past year, I did the search for the Akron Public Schools and also the Barberton Schools. Akron is a high-profile, well-paying district, had about 16 applicants. Barberton, again, Son County, not quite the same weight there, scale of Barberton, still pays reasonably well, and we had about a dozen candidates. And we felt fortunate, quite frankly, the vast majority of them were quality candidates. There were a few that didn't bring all the skills and experiences to match. But that's, right now, I would say, if we get 6 or 8 quality candidates, and quite frankly, if you want 30 or 40 candidates, we can do that. But we focus on 6 or 8 high-quality candidates that meet the profile needs of doing it. And as Paul said, right now, it's a little bit slow as far as the turnover is happening. I might jinx it. By the end of the week, 3 new treasurers announced they're retiring or moving on. But right now, there's not a lot of activity in the marketplace. But there's only 612 regular school districts, 49 joint vocational schools, and 59 educational service centers. So if we say we want someone that with treasurer experience, that's a pretty small universe to draw from, and that's the entire state of Ohio. Not everybody is willing to relocate at this time.
So I had 2 more questions. Typically, what are the number of years that you guys consider qualified experience? That's one. And then your candidate pool, are you pulling from currently employed treasurers? Are these treasurers that for whatever reason are no longer working, and if they're not working now?
Let's start with the first question.
That's fine. Number of years, qualification, qualified experience on average.
I think that's up to the board.
I'm asking you from your candidate pool.
Let me help you. I would say if you ask us to make a recommendation, and that's part of the process of building the profile, would you consider a first-time treasurer? Do you need someone with treasurer's experience? Would someone that works in city government finance office or works in county agencies such as RTA, with kind of a whole experience? So part of that you tell us. If you ask for my recommendation, I would say ideally 3 years. Again, past performance, the best indicator of future success. We can look at 2 audit reports in the state's office. We can look at multiple 5-year forecasts to see if there's consistency to those and methodology. Have more data to look at to kind of see how someone's performing rather than that snapshot of 1 year. In reality, and again, we would hope if someone's leaving a position after 1 year, that begs the question of why. If someone leaves after 3 years, the reality is, and I'm not telling you anything new, there's 3 tiers and some sub-tiers of school districts in Ohio. There are entry-level jobs, there are intermediate jobs, and there's destination school districts, and there are sub-tiers of that. We're certainly not an entry-level job. I'm not sure we're a career destination. To me, that's defined as an Upper Arlington, Ohio, handshake or hire something, and they can outpay everybody else with nothing more to do that. But there's a lot, Cuyahoga County's a high-paying county for treasurers. But again, to me, 3 years seems like a good number, both to see past performance and to avoid that obvious question of why didn't you stay more than a year if you're moving on. Now, you had a second follow-up on to that?
Well, I think you answered it.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, Dan, you had a client in Akron, and I got 2 good board members over there. You had to give your son away to Akron, so you found a candidate, but it was your son.
Yeah, well, Ryan is one of our emerging superstars in our profession, and I know Paul, it was interesting because Paul was someone that they considered for it, and when he found out his son had an interest, obviously he wanted to step back, and I had an opportunity to work with the board. I grew up in the Akron area and have always admired the Akron schools, and historically it's been one of the best urban districts in the state, so turned out wonderful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, I'm gonna let everybody else go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ms.
Barbara?
Moore, do you have some questions you want? I'm gonna let you guys go first, and then I'll go through my questions.
Oh, okay. Well, I think you may have answered my questions already. My question was if we would hire someone that's, I'm going to say maybe have the 3 years, would you still be a consultant for that person to make sure that they understand their job and what they're doing? Generally, how long do you stay with that person? 6 months, a year?
That's a little bit up to you. I talked about the transition plan. We would give you, and you can take that plan, utilize all of it, or pieces and parts of it. If you would like to, for us to mentor with your new treasurer, we would do that for as long as you wanted us to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and generally what I have done is with a new person, I'll try to have a breakfast or a lunch with them once a month, just as a colleague to check in and say, gee, I'm getting ready to do my May updates for forecast and gathering this kind of data. What are you doing? Just so we can share and make sure they're aware of the major things we all know we have to do in our profession. We're focused on the entry plan and that transition plan, as Paul said. And if you need something really hands-on, we can arrange for someone to do that, either a part of finding leaders or someone else on a consulting basis. And there are occasions, particularly with the first-time treasurer, that even though they may have been very successful in city government or something like, I'm just saying RTA, I don't even know anybody there, but something like that, then where you would feel more comfortable having someone that commits so many hours a week or a month to be with them, we could help find someone to do that. That would be on a fee basis. But we are certainly always going to answer the phone and support someone. And that's one of the advantages that Ryan and I bring as practitioners in the field. We stay pretty current on things. If there's some new aspect to implementing the Affordable Care Act that falls into the treasurer's realm, we're dealing with that in our own district, so we can be a support system for someone saying, what the heck is this all about?
That's especially true if you hire someone who does not have 2 or 3 years experience in the treasury. If you hire someone new to the treasurer's position, it would be really extremely important to have some mental program for that.
And there's one last thing. The Ohio Association of School Business Districts in Warrensville, our partner, has a wonderful 4 series of beginning treasurer seminars. And what we're finding is more and more they were designed for first-year treasurers. We're seeing people with up to 5 or 6 years of experience going through them. So in the first 12 months, there are 4 customized seminars just for people going through it, new experiences for them. And both Ryan and I have been presenters of that in the past. So we also try to help build that through our professional organization to make sure they're getting the training.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Michelle? All right, so, think what I heard you say about the pool of applicants and the average number of years, it's really kind of up to us. as to what we're looking for. Okay.
And we talk about building that profile.
Okay. With an interim, is that, did I hear you say that you would assist us with getting an interim as well? So, how soon would you recommend we get an interim in? If the timeline is, you know, starting today, that puts us out to the middle of May.
I would suggest we have an interim with some overlap of hiring with Don, a couple of weeks if at all possible.
A couple of weeks prior to him leaving, or within a couple of weeks?
No, prior to him leaving.
Okay.
There's a couple aspects to it. One is, to be legal, there has to be a treasurer of record. Someone that the board's hired, that has a license, that can sign the paychecks and be the official treasurer. So there can't be a gap where there's no treasurer. So that's one aspect to it. Part of our service of this analysis of the treasurer's office helps us identify many of the interim treasurers are retired treasurers that will do this, and if things are functioning really well, may come in a couple days a week. They're more or less just making sure nothing falls through the crack. They're not there to do full-time work all day, every day. They may be able to find some people like that, but the typical interim treasurer is not a full-time position, but again, they know, they make sure payroll gets out, they make sure the books get closed in the month, vendors are getting paid, checkbooks reconciled, all the regulatory stuff is happening. And we'll get a sense of that by talking to the treasurer's office. Again, if everything's current, as I expect it will be under Don's leadership, and everything's in a good place, that may lead us to a different possibility than if there's some, you know, a bunch of federal projects that need a lot of attention, or there's some special need there beyond just the day-to-day operational thing. So part of it's going to be dependent, again, on your needs. The typical one is we'll attempt to network with a few people to do it. Again, that's a little bit of a thin market also, but it's typically someone who comes in 2 or 3 days a week and just, you're official, they have a license, you have a treasurer, but they're not going to do all the things all day, every day that Don does.
Okay. All right. So we have a lot of things on our plate right now. We've got a big thing for us potentially coming up is a construction project where we're going to be building new schools. So how important is it, in your opinion, to have someone that has been through this type of a project before? Would you be comfortable, you know, if it was your district, with somebody brand spanking new coming into?
And again, I think that's part of what we do when Ryan and I come in and analyze the treasurer's office. We work with some districts that don't have a business office. The treasurer kind of wears 2 hats. I believe you have a business manager here, but even though many districts have a business manager, their responsibilities are different in every district, whether it's a risk manager, whether, you know, in addition, transportation, custodial grounds, the traditional things, what other things do they do? There's sometimes the treasurer's responsibilities, contract administration, project management, the business manager, the treasurer. So part of what we do is kind of get a sense of how are these major responsibilities divided. If the treasurer's office does the contract administration, the business office does the project management, maybe it's not quite as critical, but if the business office doesn't do a lot of project management or has never managed a major project, that's going to rise on our profile to a skill set we're going to look for. And again, in smaller sized districts that don't have a business office, there are treasurers that have experience. They work with the Ohio Schools Facilities Commission, or even without them through a bond issue to do it. So that will be something we identify as we're getting an understanding of your district, and we'll present to you when we talk about the skill sets and experiences that go in the profile. This is exactly the type of thing we're going to come to you and recommend. We believe the next treasurer should have specialized skills in contract administration or oversight of architects and engineers and general contractors, or we may say, you've got it covered, that isn't necessarily a skill set. But that's something we'll identify.
Okay. And when would you, let's just assume this was the timeline that we were working on, when would you actually begin meeting, coming in and actually seeing how the district is running, doing your interviews, I guess, your interviews?
Interviews with your.
With the
staff.
employees, correct, yes.
Well, if we were to start tonight, I suspect you and Ryan would do that within the next 2 weeks.
Yes. And that's the first critical presentation to the board. You know, we advertise right away, as Paul said, to create an awareness of this opportunity. But then we have to go through an analysis of how the district's organized, where the district is at this moment in time, what's in the treasurer's office, what type of support, and what's the staffing levels, those type of things. And then we come back and propose to you the profile. We may say, we think you need an experience with at least 6 years experience based on the needs and what we see, or we may say 3 years, or we may say maybe the right person coming with comparable experience, not necessarily school experience. They should have skill sets in administering federal grants, or they should be a specialist in payroll oversight, or whatever those unique things that we find. In fact, when I brought the profile from before, and each one is unique. You know, there's always some common elements. You know, you may say we want someone that's a certified public accountant. We normally discourage that, but there have been some districts that really want it. Some that have to have a strong understanding of school law, because there's a lot of legal issues you deal with, and someone has extra strength in that area. Someone that has great public presentation skills, that you expect them to be, along with the superintendent, the face of the district out in the community. So sometimes those are the type of deadlines or skill sets we see. Maybe the strongest need is in budgeting skills and forecasting skills, and we identify that as a skill above some others. Sometimes it's being able to be a major contributor to the administrative team, rather than more of a, oftentimes treasurers are in a support role, that they don't have the overall scope from an educational standpoint of engagement with students and teaching and learning every day. There are some needs sometimes though for the treasurer to get deeper involved in that as a part of the fiscal management of the district. So those are some of the key things we look for, that sometimes they're in a profile, sometimes they're not. We've had, it depends again on where you are as a district now, where you're heading. And with a major facilities project coming up, that may rise to the top, depending again on how you're organized administratively.
So this profile is developed in conjunction with you and in our interview with the internal staff.
So that all comes back to you as a recommendation. Once that's finalized, we do preliminary recruitment, again, making sure people are aware of this opportunity, but to start doing the matching of skill sets and experiences can't happen until after that. So as Paul said, we start pretty quickly once we're selected, so we can get this profile approved by you as soon as possible, and then we're into the heart of the process.
I have one final question. You mentioned something about a city finance director or something along those lines. So under what circumstances could we or would we use a city finance director?
Well, in my experiences, there's a lot of similarities. They have to do a budget, it's certainly a public position, they're a direct report, unless they're a charter city, most of them are a direct report to the city council rather than mayor. So from a governance standpoint, oftentimes very similar here. You know, they're audited by the state every year, just like we are in schools. So we have seen several times there's a crossover, either an assistant finance director or a finance director that wants to grow professionally and maybe in a smaller city, and then financially is an advantage to them to do it. So again, the profile helps us identify the key skill sets, that if as a city they've built new facilities, or they're responsible for managing the recreation center and the profit and loss on it, that may fit with some needs that we have. So We're just saying, if you say we're willing to entertain someone without prior treasurer's experience, that's one of the places we go because of some of those comparable things.
Now, they would still need to obtain a school treasurer's license, though, or
And
certificate.
the license requirement is a bachelor's degree, one course in school law, one course in school finance, and now there are online opportunities for that, rather than a full semester in class, and in 300 hours of field service. Those are the requirements, and most finance directors, assistant finance directors have a bachelor's degree. It's a matter of those two courses, and again, I've never done an online course, but however long that takes, and then field experience that you need to happen at the same time. And oftentimes, the Ohio Department of Education is issued a treasurer's license, and they have a comparable measurement of time spent, and oftentimes they'll waive part of 300 hours if someone has comparable experience. If they work in the fiscal office in Tyler County, they may deem that comparable service. Or they're the treasurer of a major nonprofit corporation. They're going to waive part of the 300 hours. And we try to help work with the Ohio Department of Education to see, without shortchanging the importance of that pre-qualification to get the treasurer's license, how to do it. So again, if we extend the time of an interim as a treasurer of record, but have the person begin either on board in a paid status as the assistant, the typical model is they come in as the assistant treasurer that doesn't require a license, get their 300 hours, they're actually doing the orientation process. So 40-hour work week, the first 2 weeks, you're 180 hours, you're more than halfway through that 2-week overlap that Paul talked about already, that you would have them on board anyhow, and then you just have to cover another 2 weeks for them to complete that field service. Again, conditioned on the online course or however they get those other two courses. So a couple of little extra things have to happen, but it's been done in the past, and again, if they match the skill sets and experiences generally, we've seen it work.
Let me ask you guys something. Remember, Elba said something about meeting with, hearing OSBA. We're still in a regular session. Let me just ask, let me tell you my experience with OSBA. You guys can have a seat if you'd like. When we did the superintendent, and I need you guys to have a presentation, we did not get a lot of what these gentlemen just said. What we got through OSBA with the superintendent search was they got the applications for us. They made recommendations on applications.
Excuse me, before you say that, I think that that's a conversation that we should have when they're done presenting and leaving.
I have my reasons for sharing this with the board, though, so just bear
Okay.
with me. They did, we were basically left on our own. There was some communication, but not a whole lot. Me personally, I would really like to kind of put it out there that I think this company comes highly recommended. And I really, the time is of the essence, and they do come highly recommended. Not only that, there was the one instance with OSBA, was that Parma? Where was that at? Do you guys remember? There was a situation with OSBA, and I kind of hate to put them out there like that, but where a search didn't quite go as well as it should have. They didn't vet the individual the right way, and it ended up coming back on the board. They pretty much had to go back and say, hey, we didn't get what we wanted. So I'm just putting that out there. I personally would like to ask that we go ahead and move forward with finding leaders. I'm open for discussion on this.
Well, I personally have some things that I'd like to say about the presence of you two gentlemen, because I've had experience with both of them. So I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I think that that's something that we need to discuss as a board.
But I think that in lieu of this being a new board, you need to have something to compare it to, and I think that both should be heard. And then if you decide after that this is the company that you want to go with, then so be it. But you need to be able to have something to compare it to, because it's like you have good things that you've heard about one or the other, or bad things. I have the same. So
Share your experience.
well, I'd rather not throw anyone under the bus, and I'd rather for us as a board to discuss it when the gentleman from Finding Leaders leave.
It's a public session, so there's no reason for us to, we can't discuss it in executive session.
Well, I know we can't discuss an executive session.
So let me just do it this way then, guys.
Okay, well then, I mean, okay.
Were you finished?
No, I mean, because I don't want us to take a vote without being able to have both options to hear the other side. So let me just say this. Let me,
suggest we go, you guys talk about it.
Okay.
If you decide to move ahead, if you're.
We'll give you a call.
Decide to go, MSBA, and then just call us and let us know.
Okay. And we appreciate you coming out.
I would
I
appreciate
think
it.
that's fair, because they shouldn't have to sit through this. I guess my only question is, before, in fairness to every member on the board, how fast can we get OSBA in here and have them present, and then we have two comparables to go against, and then we can move forward, because time is of the essence, but,
We can, I can reach out to OSBA and ask them how quickly then can they come in. But I'm asking every one of you guys, if they say they can come out next week, that we rearrange our schedules.
as long as it's not Tuesday night, I can. I have surgery on Tuesday morning. That's it.
Well, so Tuesday night is fine. We won't do a Tuesday night, but you have your surgery, and you might not be up and running.
I'm gonna try my best to be here. Might may have to come and get
All
me.
right, so I would like to see if we could get OSBA in here one day next week.
We got it Wednesday, the special meeting, March 2nd.
That's March 2nd. I
And
really
I'm-
want to get started on this as soon as possible.
And I'm going to piggyback on Tracy. I think this is something that we need to get done right away. Experience of picking a treasure is a job, and to me, it's a difficult job. I don't have the qualification to do that, so I'm going to listen, and if these gentlemen, this company is in the best interest of Warrensville, then so be it. Why prolong it? So we need to have OSBA in here ASAP.
Okay, I'm good with that, then. I will reach out to OSBA. I will see
OSBA, what
what
did I
day
say?
that they are available. We will get them in here as soon as possible.
Okay.
And again, I'm asking that any day other than Tuesday of next week, that we make ourselves available.
Okay.
Okay?
Let me say this. I have death in my family, so I might be leaving town on Thursday. So if we could have it on Wednesday, that would be ideal.
We'll shoot for Wednesday.
Please shoot for Wednesday.
We will shoot for Wednesday.
That way we'll be here anyway. We'll be here anyway. Wednesday's the 2nd, yeah.
Oh, you know what, so that, I'm thinking it's the week after.
Thanks a lot, Paul.
Thank you very much. We will. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Than't you, Paul. Excellent job.
Thank you. Nice seeing you.
I took your class. Yeah, I took your class.
Thank you. Excellent job.
Good change.
Oh, nice to meet you. Is if we're gonna do it that way, we change it to
Dan.
where we can actually.
Mr. John.
That night, change it to a morning meeting, let OSBA come in and do a presentation.
We could do that, there's enough time to get that notice changed.
Does anybody have any concerns with that? Did you hear what I said?
You want to make it a voting night?
If we can get OSBA to come in on Wednesday and we make a decision that night on which firm we would like to go with.
But Tuesday, what night is the regular? The 2nd?
That's Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay, got it.
It's Wednesday, because my surgery is March 2nd.
Wednesday's the 2nd.
So are we good with that? Can we, if OSBA can make it out on the 2nd, we changed the notice, because she already did the notice, we would have to revise the notice, right?
We would have to revise the notice with that purpose and put in there that there may be a vote taken at that meeting.
Okay, all right, then that's what I would like to do, and I will let you know.
But you have to let me know that they would.
You gotta get a hold of OSBA tomorrow morning.
Well, and I just want to say this while you're looking up your email. We originally used them for the last treasurer search. Paid an extensive amount of money to get the bottom of the barrel. They were also the previous superintendent's consultant, that she went to them for mentoring, Paul himself. Paid an astronomical amount of money to do very minimal to nothing. It was a true disappointment. I was surprised to see them back, but he even said, I remember you. You remember us because we paid a lot of money for a treasure search for us to get the bottom of the barrel. People weren't experienced, but you were bringing them to us like they were top 1A1. We wind up leaving them, going to another company, and that's how we got Mr. Gamble. Was it OSBA that we used for you? Because Lowell had originally recommended you.
It was Lowell Davis that.
Yeah, Lowell had worked with, Lowell Davis was an interim that we
He was
passed.
his own, he was the interim at the time, and he ran searches too.
Right. Now, also keep in mind, Mr. Gamble does have an assistant to the treasurer. And that gap that they were speaking of, when Mr. Gamble leaves, that interim could step in. So
Who is that?
What's your interim, what's your assistant's name?
Kim Churchill does have a treasurer's license that, you know, she got while she was here. And if need be, you know, I mentioned to her about, you know, and she seemed interested and she was gonna get back to me, you know, she has.
Excuse me, but I had the privilege of calling Mr. Gamble earlier today to ask him that in lieu of him leaving, would he feel confident if she stepped in, and he said he did. And that's only if there was a need be, because there is a gap, going to be a gap from May to June. And looking at their portfolio, they do charge extra for that. What we saw here was their base price. It does increase. It's on the page with their packet.
It's on the last page.
It's on their page with their packet. And I'm just telling you guys, I'm just going by my experience. And I don't know who recommended them or whatever, and they may be good, but they've never worked with an urban school district. So I'm just telling you what I know.
All right, thank you.
I just want to say one thing, that Kim did not say, she is interested,
Right.
but she didn't say, yeah, it was,
Right, she didn't say yes.
right. But I'm sure she may even be interested. I could say this, someone that has been an auditor for 26 years plus and has worked in the treasurer's office now and has all this experience and is part of, how can I put this? Is already part of the district. So, I mean, if she would be interested, I think, you know, you'd have to give some consideration. I don't know. I can't speak for her, but when I did suggest it, she seemed like, yeah, I think I could do it. And Mrs. Elva's question to me today was, do I think she could do it? Yes, I think. Being a treasurer as long as I have, I feel she could do it. And I think that our district, I just wanted to say this one thing. We're not a district that can have an interim 1 or 2 days a week. I think we need an interim because it's just a district. I mean, I've got that gut feeling about that, but I could give you more a little of what my opinion would be on, as whoever would do the search brings up ideas. I would gladly, as long as I'm here, give my opinion on it. And you can use it for what it's worth, but, this is not a district that runs, by a guy that comes in and signs a check 2 days a week. It's not. There's things it's all day long, and you guys know that.
Okay,
Yeah, so-
yeah, we do.
So I'm just letting you know that part of it. And there are some interim treasurers out there, and, I don't know. I'm just saying that, you have to think about that.
Has to say, we can have a serious discussion about, how we want to proceed with an interim, if Ms. Churchill's going to be the right move, if she decides to go that route.
Right.
So we can definitely have a discussion about that. All right, so moving forward, I'll let you guys know tomorrow what OSBA says, and I'm gonna say this again. If there is something that we all need to know, this is for everybody, I'm asking that you guys share your questions, your concerns in advance of the meetings, so we don't have to go through things like this. Please, reach out to me, to Mr. Jolly, to your other board members. Let everybody know what your questions and concerns are. If we're gonna work together as a team, we gotta work together as a team. And I have to say that because I don't like messy. I don't have all of the answers. I don't always do things the right way, but if you think that there's a better way to do it or if you think I'm doing it wrong, please speak up. And not in a public session, because you've got my phone number, you've got my email address, you've got my work number. Let's do this the right way. One team, one vision, one goal. That's our motto. And that's all I have to say. Can I please have a motion to
Close.
Madam Chair, I move that this board adjourns the meeting.
Second.
I have to find my sheet. Okay.
gotta call roll.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Muman,
Yes.
Mrs. Elma, and Mrs. Gator.
Yes. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight, for those of you that are here.
Michelle, I have a quick question. You said you got